Hello and welcome to Non-Inkable. This video is going to be about the Disney era. So the Disney movies there are several eras that kind of separate the movies that came out into like little compartments. So I wanted to talk about them. I find that they're pretty interesting. So I think that most people know about the Disney Renaissance era, which is like late 80s to 90s. And that's when you get those movies like Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to take it back all the way to the beginning. So the first era is called the Golden Era. It is from 1937 to 1942. And there are 5 movies in that era. So first movie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That movie actually, I think, saved the studio. The studio was going to go under until that movie came out, and it did so well that it saved the studio. Another fun fact, not so fun fact actually, the actress who voiced Snow White in that movie has such a characteristic, like Snow White has that like that high voice, that they wouldn't let her record any other stuff because they wanted Snow White's voice to be only Snow White. Kind of sucks. Okay, so the other 4 movies in that golden era are Pinocchio, which I haven't rewatched recently, but I remember watching it and just being terrified. Like they get turned into donkeys. Such a scary movie. Fantasia, Dumbo, also kind of scary, and Bambi, super sad, So that's the golden era. Next after that is the wartime era, so 1942 to 1949, and that has all the movies I haven't seen any of these movies. So 1942, Saludos Amigos. 1944, The Three Caballeros, which I don't think I've seen, unless I may have seen like a dubbed version in Chinese at some point. And I did go on the ride in Mexico at Epcot. That is my exposure to The Three Caballeros. 1946, there was Make Mine Music. 1947, Fun and Fancy Free. 1948, Melody Time. 1949, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. That one I have seen. I think I watched that in like band class or something in middle school. After that, 1950s to 1967 is the Silver Era. So first movie of that section, 1950 is Cinderella. 1951, Alice in Wonderland. 1953, Peter Pan. 1955, Lady and the Tramp. We need some Lady and the Tramp cards. I want Lady and the Tramp cards. 1959, Sleeping Beauty. 1961, 101 Dalmatians. 1963, The Sword in the Stone. 1967, The Jungle Book. So that's Silver Era. So I think that's getting into like movies that most people know at least a little bit about if they haven't seen it. And I think pretty popular still. After that comes the Bronze Era, which is 1970 to 1977. So pretty short, just 7 years. And in that era, you have the Aristocrat. Ugh, I can't even say it. The Aristocat. You have 1973, Robin Hood. 1977, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Also 1977 is The Rescuers. And then after that is the Dark Ages. So that's when I think the company was not doing as well and was kind of threatening to go under again. So that is from 1981 to 1988. I was also born in 1988, so maybe my birth started the Renaissance era, which is next. No, it didn't. But 1981, The Fox and the Hound, saddest movie ever. I would love to see those characters in Lorcana. 1985 is The Black Cauldron. 1986, The Great Mouse Detective, which we have a ton of cards from. 1988, Oliver and Company, another dog movie. Love it. And then comes the Renaissance era. So Save Disney once again, and has what I think I would say people my age now consider like classic Disney. So it starts out in 1989 and goes all the way to 1999. So 1989, The Little Mermaid. I also call this like Alan Menken era because he writes all the books. So The Little Mermaid comes out in 1989, does super well. 1990, The Rescuers Down Under, not as well. 1991, Beauty and the Beast. 1992, Aladdin. 1994, The Lion King, which is the first movie I ever saw in theaters. And it was when I first came to America. And we sat in the front row, which in a movie theater is actually not the best place to sit. But we didn't know we were little kids. 1995, Pocahontas, which we don't see any cards from. Probably because it's a little bit of a problematic movie and makes like a love relationship between Pocahontas and John Smith, even though in real life Pocahontas was like 12. But I wish we could get at least cards for the side characters. So like Flick, the hummingbird, Miko, the raccoon, and then the pug. I think those cards would be hilarious. And then maybe like the grandma tree would be fun. Yeah. I don't think that they're going to make like Pocahontas or John Smith because it's based on real people and portraying them in kind of not a good light. Okay, anyways, next movie is 1996, Hunchback of Notre Dame. This movie I really want to see in Lorcana. This movie is insane. If you listen to the song Hellfire that Frollo sings, it's insane. It's basically like, I want Esmeralda to either basically sleep with me or go to hell. It's great. Yeah, but I love Esmeralda. I love her goat. I wish that little goat could become a character. Quasimodo would be a great character. The bells could be like an item. The gargoyles could be an item or a character, really. Yeah, I wish they would bring that into Lorcana. And then that's 1996. 1997 is Hercules. And did I make a video about Hercules? I don't think I made a video about Hercules yet, but I will because I love that movie. Hades is my favorite character in that movie. And also Meg is so cool. She is not like a damsel in distress. She can tie her own sandals. And she's played by Susan Egan, who's super cool. 1998 is Mulan, which of course I love because I'm Chinese. Although I did not love memorizing a 4-page poem about her in Chinese school. And then 1999 is Tarzan, which has a soundtrack that slaps by Phil Collins. And also I think I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't remember his name, the ape that is like friends with Tarzan is voiced by Rosie O'Donnell. Great. Okay. So that's the Renaissance era. So it starts with Little Mermaid, ends with Tarzan. Next comes the experimental era, which I think also has really fun movies and also some really bad movies. So 1999 to 2008. First movie in the experimental era is Fantasia 2000, where they basically remade Fantasia and then added more classical music and like basically animated scenes to classical music. And that is where the card Firebird comes from, which is one of my favorite classical music pieces. But that I remember I watched that in like AP Music Theory or something on a day when my teacher was not there. 2000, the movie Dinosaur. Didn't watch that. I think that was like the first 3D, one of the earlier 3D animation-y movies. Same year as that came out, Emperor's New Groove, which I did do a video about, so check that out. I thought it was relevant since Bucky. And then after that in 2001 was Atlantis, Lost Empire. After that was 2002, Lilo and Stitch, set in Hawaii to songs by Elvis. It is such a cute movie. I didn't watch that movie until I think much later, like after college. And I remember I had to pause the movie because I was sobbing so loudly that I couldn't hear what they were saying. And I like hadn't turned on closed captions because I was dumb. In the part where I think it's the part where like they're trying to take Stitch away and then he's like, oh, Hannah, it means nobody gets left behind. And just tears, so many tears. Next, underrated movie, 2002, Treasure Planet. I hadn't watched that until I started playing Lorcana, actually. Like, I hadn't watched the whole thing. But I recommend you watch it. It's very good. 2003, Brother Bear. Did not watch that. 2004, Home on the Range. Did not watch that. 2005, Chicken Little. 2007, Meet the Robinsons. And then 2008, Bolt. So a lot of movies I did not watch. And then we are currently in the revival era. So 2009 until now. So the revival era started out with Princess and the Frog. They had their first African-American princess, although, I mean, she does spend most of the movie as a frog, so I don't know if it's it. Like, it's nice to have some more representation, but also, like, why'd she have to be a frog for, like, the whole movie? And then after that is 2010 Tangled, which I saw in theaters in the Caribbean and on a date. And my date had wanted to see Paranormal Activity 3. And I was like, no, I am not seeing a scary movie. And I was like, we can go watch this Disney movie. It'll be great. Didn't realize it was a musical until she started singing. I was like, oh, it's a musical. Sorry, I didn't realize that. But thanks for coming. But yeah, and Rapunzel is voiced by Mandy Moore. 2011 is Winnie the Pooh. 2012, Wreck-It Ralph, which we're getting a ton of cards for this next set, set 5. 2013, Frozen. Saw that one in theaters. I saw it during the day. There was a bunch of kids there. Spoiler alert, when Hans turns out to be evil, which I should have seen because he has green eyes, and everyone who has green eyes in Disney is evil. I literally said, wow, what a jackass, super loud in the theater filled with kids. So embarrassing for me and the person I went with. 2014, Big Hero 6. This needs to come to Lorcana. I want a Baymax card. I want all their cool abilities from all the friends. I want a card that's maybe just like the USB drive. I feel like that would be a cool item to have. It needs to come. Big Hero 6 is such a cool movie. Also makes me cry a lot. And then 2016 is Moana. 2016 also Zootopia, which I think we're going to get more cards for. So right now for Zootopia, we just have like Judy Hopps and Chief Bogo, but we could get Mary, forgetting the name of the sheep, Bellwether. We could get the Rams with the Breaking Bad suits that make the nightshade poison dart things. We could get all the different captains. We could get the cop with the donut, probably Gazelle, the Shakira character. And then we could have cool lands like Zootopia. It would be so cool. It'd be so cool. And they could have like you know how she takes like a train into town? That could be like basically a magic carpet that lets you move between lands. It'd be so cool. There's so much potential. I hope we see it in set 5. After that, 2018, Ralph Breaks the Internet. And I saw on one of my previous videos that someone was like, oh, I really want the princesses from that. And I was like, that'd be so cool. Because they have a lot of Disney princesses, but they're like alternative art, different style of art. And it also has like that Ask Jeeves character, which I think is super funny. I feel like it'd be cool if they had an action that was like a Papa Bad, which would be hilarious. I don't know what it would do, but maybe like freeze your character or something. I don't know. And then 2019, Frozen 2, which we're getting a bunch of cards from in set 5. So those are the eras after 2019 nothing really for 2020 because COVID, but for 2021, we had Raya and the Last Dragon come out, which there's a ton of cards for. And then 2021, we also had Encanto, which we got a bunch of cards for this set. And then in 2023, we had Wish, which I don't think did that well. I don't see it, even though it has my favorite Chris in it. So yeah, and then eventually, hopefully we can bring in like Pixar, we could bring in Marvel, we could bring in Star Wars. That might be too much, but at least Pixar. And then we could have all the Pixar movies like Toy Story, Turning Red, Inside Out 2. That would be super awesome. So those are the Disney eras. So we started with the golden era, then we had the wartime, the silver, the bronze, the Renaissance, the experimental, and currently the revival era. And so, yeah, wanted to go over those. Thought it was interesting. May help you on some trivia. And that's it. All right. As always, keep shuffling. Hopefully you don't end up with a whole handful of non-inkables like me. And check out our TCG store, which is now a pro store. All right. Bye.